All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you. Today is Monday, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Today is May 4th, 2020. And I'm just happy that everybody is here. If it looks like I am a little like all over the place this morning, it's simply because my sleep pattern is slightly off. So I do apologize in advance if you see me yawning or so I'm just hoping and praying that we can get through this lesson. Just a quick virtual announcement. This week is Teacher Appreciation Week. Okay, so all this week, I want to encourage my students and anyone that is watching these playbacks, or if you're just coming along and you just stumble across this video, please show some educators some love. Educators during this pandemic have had to go through a lot of changes with learning new technologies and implementing them, and just doing a lot of other crazy things on top of what we normally already do. So please show some educators some love on this week, because Lord knows we really do need it. We need it. Okay. So with
Good
that
morning.
being good morning. Okay, thank you for joining me. And also just a friendly reminder, please make sure that your phones and your phones are on mute, your camera is off, and that your audio is on mute. Okay. So again, it's just Teacher Appreciation Week all this week. So show your favorite teacher some love. I'm not, you show me some love, cool. But if you have another teacher that you reach out to, talk to, you know what I mean? If you have some friends that are teachers, show them some love, because we really do need it. That's very, very important. All right. All right. So all that being said, we are going to go ahead and review parallel structure for today. All right, so I'm going to make this bigger so that way, of course, everybody can see it. Do, 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 do. All right. Oh, it's way too big. Okay. All right. So if you cannot see this, um, please let me know. I'm trying to make it to where it's big enough for the playback videos, so the people that's watching the playback videos can see it. But I can't make it too big. There's no such thing as too big, but I just want to make sure that everyone can see it. All right. So hopefully that would be big enough. I hope. All right. Okay, there we go. All right. So parallel structure. Parallel structure is a type of writing technique that is used to make everything flow, to make everything concise, and to make everything clear, and to make everything make sense. Okay? So, parallel structure adds both clout and clarity to your writing. When you use parallel structure, you increase the readability of your writing by creating word patterns readers can follow easily. So remember, the goal is in when you're writing anything, you want to make sure that you are writing something that flows, that is concise, that is organized, and above all else, it makes sense. Now, again, I always tell my students, we when we talk and when we have conversations with people, we tend to split verbs and use slang and hey y'all, and I mean I know I do. I will be the first to admit I know I do. I was born in the city, raised in the country, so I picked up a lot of slang and a lot of different things and a lot of different dialects from my grandmother and granddaddy and all those people of wisdom. However, it's very important to remember you have to turn it off when it comes to writing. We cannot write the way that we speak. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind. We have to make sure that we use proper English in our writing. good sentence structure, vocabulary that is clean and concise and that is clear and to the point. Okay, that's very important. All right. So, understanding parallel structure. Parallel structure, which is also called parallelism, is the repetition of a chosen grammatical form within a sentence. Okay? By making each compared item or idea in your sentence follow the same grammatical pattern, you create a parallel structure or parallel construction. Okay? So, in essence, parallel structure, the word parallel means same. Structure is organized or order. So, your words in your sentence, they have the same type of order, they have the same type of structure. Okay? So, we're going to look at a couple of examples of different types of parallel structure, how you can change and create one sentence that is not parallel to making it parallel. And then I'm going to leave you all with an assignment. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this right off the gate so it won't be a misunderstanding. If you are watching the playback videos, it is very important that you email me your assignment. If you do not email me your assignments, I am only left to believe that you are not doing them. And I do not want to assume that. So please make sure that you have my email address so that way you can email it to me. I will check your work and I will return it back to you with the grade, or I'll communicate to you whether or not I received it or not. Okay, so that's very important. So any of my students who are watching these playback videos but not doing the work, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. I'm just going to put it out there. You're doing yourself a disservice. So please make sure that you watch these videos in its full entirety and make sure that you are completing the assignments, because that way you will understand how these things work, and then you can continue to study and then apply them to your GED exams. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at the examples. All right. Not parallel. Ellen likes hiking, the rodeo, and to take afternoon naps. Okay. So we have 3 words in here that of things that Ellen likes to do. Okay. She likes hiking, the rodeo, and to take afternoon naps, which does not sound like a bad idea. Taking afternoon naps. Taking a nap right now sounds wonderful. Okay. So the issue that we have with the parallel, with this sentence not being parallel, is that we have a verb, we have a noun, and we also have what's called an infinitive. An infinitive is a type of verb that uses the word to and then the verb. So to take afternoon nap. So we're actually just going to look at to take. Okay. Now, all of these things are not matching because they are all different. So therefore, this will make this sentence a non-parallel sentence. Infinitive. I feel like I put too many I's right there. Infinitive. Okay. It just looks funny. All right. So we have a verb here, a noun, and an infinitive. We want all of these to equal grammatically. And when I say equal grammatically, what I mean is they all have to look alike. Remember, the word parallel means same. So these words have to look the same. Okay. So the example or the answers that they have given us: Ellen likes hiking, attending the rodeo, and taking afternoon naps. So in this first example, what we've done, we have used hiking, attending, and taking. So all of these words end in ing. My phone keeps making noise and I'm not understanding why. Sorry. Okay. So as soon as I can find my, okay, here we go. So remember, we can take one word and we can actually add a word because you can't rodeoing. You can't put an ing at the end of rodeo because a rodeo is somewhere that you go. Okay. So hiking, attending the rodeo, and taking afternoon nap. So hopefully you will see how this sentence has now gone from non-parallel to parallel because all of my verbs have ing at the end of them. Another example would be Ellen likes to hike, attend the rodeo, and take naps. So here we are just simply using a different form of verbs. We're using the present tense of verbs to hike, attend, and take afternoon naps. So in this first example, we added ing to the end of our verb. And in this second example, we just use the present tense of the verb. Okay? So remember, when you're making non-parallel sentences into parallel sentences or using parallel structure, the verbs have to match, nouns have to match, meaning they have to be subject and verb agreement, okay? And if you need a review on that, please let me know. All right, so the next example that we have using parallel structure is with coordinating conjunctions. When you connect two or more clauses or phrases with the coordinating conjunction, fanboys, or, and, nor, but, or, yet, so, use parallel structure. For example, my best friend took me dancing and to a show. What makes it not parallel, okay? So my best friend took me dancing and to a show. What makes it not parallel again is that we have a form of a verb using ing, and we also have a regular verb. Well, actually, this is a noun. And then we have uh, a verb here. Now, remember, do we talk like this? Absolutely. We do. And if we're honest with ourselves, we have conversations where we use non-parallel structure all the time in our speaking. Okay, that's just what it is. But remember, with good practice comes being perfect. So make sure that when you are writing, that you are practicing using parallel structure. My best friend took me to a dance and a show. So I want you to see the difference here between the first sentence and the second sentence. My best friend took me to a dance and a show. So these two match because they are now in the present form. Okay. All right. All right. All right. So I'm just going to leave this up for a moment, or if you're watching the playback video, you can pause at this particular time to take your notes and to make sure that you understand um, how you use coordinating conjunctions. And by the way, the conjunction that is being used here is and. So remember, coordinating conjunctions or conjunctions in general are simply words that connect other words and phrases in sentences. Go back to my blue here. All right. Oop, moving the wrong one. All right. With correlative, or correlative rather, conjunctions, when you connect two clauses or phrases with a correlative junction, which is not only, but also, and I will scroll over, either or, neither nor, if and then, use parallel structure. So very quickly, a correlative conjunction uses two words in most cases. For example, not only did we go to the store, but we also went to grandma's house. Okay. This is very common. Either you coming with me or you staying here. Neither Mary nor Jane did not know where he went. And of course, if and then, which is used in conditional statements, if you don't sit down somewhere, okay, I'm not going to say that, but parents use the if and then statement all the time. If you don't sit down somewhere, then I'm going to have to whoop you. Okay, well, that was just my mama, but either way. All right, so for example, my dog not only likes to play fetch, but also chase cars. Now, I am going to go ahead and underline in red, pull this back up. Going to go ahead and underline in red the conjunction that is being used. So my conjunction is not only and but also. Okay, so those are my two correlative conjunctions. Okay, now I'm going to change colors again, and I am going to circle what the dog likes to do. My dog likes to play fetch, but also chase cars. Okay. Now, the reason why this is not in parallel structure is because, again, we have an infinitive, and we also have a regular verb. So, although these are verbs, there are different categories and different types of verbs. And if I need to do a refresh on the different types of verbs, please let me know. Okay. I don't like how I wrote that E, y'all. Y'all know I'm real particular about my handwriting. Well, all right. Okay. All right. Now, the correct way or the the correct way to write this sentence using parallel structure would be, my dog not only likes to play fetch, but he also likes to chase cars. So we actually changed this present tense to an infinitive by putting the word to in front of the verb. Okay? Or we can also say, my dog likes not only to play fetch, but also to chase cars. Okay, so what we did in the second sentence, we simply just moved the likes next to the noun dog, and we added the correlative conjunction, not only. Okay, so remember, in this first example, we have an infinitive and present tense. Although both of those are verbs, they're different forms of verbs. So you want to make sure with parallel structure that you use the same form of verbs. Okay? So again, that first example says, likes to play fetch, but he also likes to chase cars. So now this first sentence matches. My dog likes not only to play fetch, but also to chase cars. Okay? So I'm going to stop right here for a quick second. And again, if you would like to pause this video during the playback and take notes and get a better understanding and letting everything just sink in, you're more than welcome to do so at this time. Okay. So now we have one more example. If I'm not mistaken, I think we do have, yep, we do have one more example here. And then I'm going to give you all an assignment. Okay. Now, this final example, it says, when you connect two clauses or phrases with the word of comparison, such as than or as, use parallel structure. Let me make this very clear. THAN is used for comparison. Do not confuse this with THEN. Okay? This denotes a time. Then, than, which is THAN, that is a word that is used in comparison. So, quick example. When you are learning about in math, when you are learning how to compare numbers, and you have the greater than sign and the less than sign, than, THAN, is used as a comparison. Okay, do not confuse this with THEN. It's two totally different things. I just wanted to put that out there to make sure that people do not confuse those two words. Okay. And I cannot find my. Okay. All right. So this sentence is not parallel. I would rather pay for my education than financial aid. Well, sometimes when we read a sentence out loud, we have to hear it to see if it makes sense. So I'm going to read this sentence out loud again, and I want you to hear how this sentence does not make any sense. I would rather pay for my education than financial aid. What this sentence is saying is that I would rather pay for my education than to pay for financial aid. That absolutely makes no sense, simply because it is not using the correct parallel structure. So again, parallel structure is used to make sentences make sense. So the two things that are being compared, and that's what you have to ask yourself when you're looking at sentences with comparisons. The two things that are being compared is education and financial aid. Those are the two things that are being compared. Okay. Now, both of these are nouns. So some of you all may be thinking, well, Miss Hampton, they're both nouns and they're both, being used correctly. So this sentence is correct. Absolutely not. It is not correct. Again, what the sentence is saying is, I would rather pay for my education than to pay for financial aid. That is what the sentence is saying because, again, education and financial aid are being compared. Okay. And for the record, you cannot pay for financial aid. Financial aid helps you pay for your education. Just in case anybody's thinking about going the college route or, technical college or 4 year or any institution where you get higher education, scholarships and grants. Don't do loans. Okay. Mm. Now, the correct way of writing this sentence would be simply this: I would rather pay for my education than receive financial aid. Okay. So that's the reason why we are adding in a verb, because pay is a verb and also receive is a verb. Okay. Okay. So just remember, with parallel structure, again, you want to make sure that number one, that you have to determine whether or not you have um, a non-parallel sentence. You have to determine that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up to the very first example, and that way you can see whether or not we have whether or not you can see that we do have non-parallel sentences. Okay. So I'm sorry. Let me give you all a moment. And at this time, if you want to pause the video to take your notes, feel free. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll back up here. I'm going to look at our first example. Anytime you have different types of parts of speech or clauses and words being used and they're not all the same, you automatically know that you have a non-parallel sentence. In our first example here, we have a verb, we have a noun, and an infinitive. None of those match. So we have to make them match. Now, a good rule of thumb is simply, well, I have two verbs here, because remember, an infinitive is a type of verb. Okay, it uses the word to and then the verb. So because I have technically two verbs here, it would be easier for me to go ahead and change my noun and add a verb to my noun. Because remember, you can't do the rodeo. Like, the rodeo is something that you don't do. Okay, so therefore, if you can't do it, more than likely it's a noun. Okay, so that's the reason why we added the verb attending and we added the ing. Okay, so that's a technique that you can use to decipher and figure out whether or not should I use all nouns, should I use all verbs, do I need to use an infinitive, or leave the sentence the way that it is. Okay, all right. All right. So now what I want to do is this. I want to go ahead and I want to give you all the assignment. Uh-oh. Oh, I'm sorry, there is more. Ah, didn't realize that there was more, so we're going to make this quick. All right. This is the last example. My apologies. Thought there weren't any more. All right. So with lists, it says when you are comparing items in a list, you're going to use parallel structure. Okay. So an example, not parallel. John Taylor Gatto criticizes public schools because they are compulsory, funded by the government, and destroy students' humanity. Now, what three things are being in a list? And remember, a list is nothing but a series of information. Okay. So we have compulsory, we have funded by the government, and destroy students' humanity. Now, we know that these things do not match. This word, compulsory, is an adjective because it is describing what the public schools are. So this is an adjective. Okay, so that's an adjective. Funded by the government, that is simply more just it's a clause. It's a dependent clause, really. Funded by the government. So I'm going to put a dependent clause here. And destroy students' humanity. Again, this is a dependent clause. And again, if we need to review independent clauses, dependent clauses, if we need to review that, I believe there is a playback video on that. But if there is not, please let me know. Okay. So again, we have an adjective and two dependent clauses. So there are several different ways you can change this non-parallel sentence to a parallel, to a sentence using parallel structure. John Taylor Gatto criticizes public schools because they are compulsory, government funded, and normalizing. So we have actually changed the dependent clauses to adjectives. Government funding and normalizing. Because remember, compulsory is an adjective. So what we've done, we've changed the dependent clauses to adjectives. So you can do that, or you can say, John Taylor Gatto criticizes public schools because they require students to attend, receive money from the government, and destroy students' humanity. So we can add a verb. Because remember, funded by the government, that means they're receiving money from the government. Okay? And destroy students' humanity. So again, knowing your 8 parts of speech is going to be very important with parallel structure, and also making sure that you understand what the sentences are saying is also going to play a very important part in these exercises. Okay? So for the second example, I simply just added a verb. So require is a verb, receive is a verb, and I'm just going to put V for verb because I'm running out of room here. Okay. And destroy is a verb. Okay. So the first sentence, all of these words are adjectives. So I basically changed my dependent clauses, funded by the government and destroy students' humanity, to adjectives. Because remember, adjectives are words that describe nouns and pronouns. Okay. Now this is your assignment. It says read the following sentence examples and revise any that do not use parallel structure. Okay. Okay. Remember that there are many ways to revise a sentence to reflect parallel structure. If possible, rewrite each incorrect sentence in more than one way. You don't have to do that. I just want you to write it out one way. That's it. Okay. Now, the good thing about this particular exercise is that I'm gonna, yeah, I definitely can't see that. So I know y'all can't see that. Let me make that bigger again. So here are some helpful hints on how to revise sentences for parallel structure. Number one, figure out what parts of the sentences are being a part of the sentence, are being compared. So again, you can have a verb, you can have a noun, you can have an adjective, and all of those things can be doing something in that sentence. But remember, with parallel structure, you will have to pick one and revise that sentence so that all the sentences can be verbs, or have verbs in them that match. All of the sentences will have a noun, or all of the sentences will have an adjective. Okay. But please feel free to rewind the playback, look at the playback for the examples mentioned above. Decide whether they are parallel, which means arranged or constructed in the same way. Just in case you didn't believe me before. And if they are not, make them parallel by making the grammatical construction and the same in each part. Okay. So I think all of the sentences you can see. Okay. I do not know how many. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do here. I am only going to let you do the first three simply because you can see the first three. Okay. So I want to spend a little more time on So I want to spend a little more time on these on this particular topic because again, I want us to get back into the practicing of writing. And I want to make sure that we understand that when we are ready to take our GED exams, that I want us to be confident and I want us to be ready and I want us to knock it out the park the very first time. Okay? So this is your assignment. Your assignment is to change these three sentences from non-parallel to parallel. Okay? And do not worry, we will go over this tomorrow. So please make sure that you are here so that way, if you have any questions, we can talk about it tomorrow and we can do more practice as a group. But I want you to try it out for yourself just to see if you understand how parallel structure works. Now, of course, excuse me, I do have students that did call in. And again, thank you all so much for joining me. Ms. Hampton really appreciates that. But you will, of course, have to look at the playback videos to do the assignment. Again, please make sure that you email me the assignment, or you can send me a text to say, Ms. Hampton, I did the email assignment, but I don't have your email address, and I will send it to you, no problem. This is going to be very important for accountability purposes because we are in May, and I know around this time everybody will be preparing and taking their GEDs right now. And due to the pandemic, unfortunately, that's not happening. However, that still does not mean that we cannot continue to prep and continue to study and continue to motivate ourselves and push ourselves in preparing, because I promise you, once these testing centers open back up, the floodgates of the testing gates will be open. Okay, I'm telling you. So please make sure that you all are continuing to study. Make sure that if you have any questions, please email me, contact me, or leave a comment in the description box, or not description box, but leave a comment in the comment section on the playback, and I'll be more than happy to have that dialogue with you. Okay. So at this moment, hopefully you all have had an opportunity to get these sentences, but if not, the video will be up for the playback. Hopefully I will have that up within the next hour or so. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to go ahead and stop the screen share. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. So again, I want to say thank you all so much for joining me this morning. I really do, appreciate each and every one of you. I know class was kind of short today, but again, my sleep pattern is a little bit off, so I'm just trying to wake myself back up. But I will have this posted on my YouTube channel. Give me about an hour because the processing is really, really long, and it takes a moment for things to upload to YouTube, and it's a process. So please be patient, and once the video is up, please make sure that you watch the video in its full entirety, and make sure that you complete the assignment and turn it in to me. Okay. So again, I really appreciate you all spending your Monday with me. Remember, this is Teacher Appreciation Week, so show your teacher some love, okay? Me included. It's just very important, and it keeps us motivated and it keeps us going. So if there are no other questions, I really do appreciate you all. If you have a question, you're more than welcome to email me, send me a text, but I want to go ahead and upload this video for you so that way you all can have time to watch the playback and do the assignment. And if you have any questions, text me, and or we can talk about it tomorrow, because I want to make sure that this particular topic makes sense. Okay. So Miss Hampton loves you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. It's really not. So with that being said, I will see you beautiful people on tomorrow, I hope. All right. So I will talk to y'all later. Bye.